see this shit?
If you ever put your hands on me again, I will fucking kill you.
We already lost one kid, Tasha. Don't you ever motherfucking forget it. If Tariq dies, his blood is on your hands. Your hands.
So tell them niggas to bring the smoke. We'll come lay him the fuck out. Simple.
Well, seeing how we gonna be waiting a while for that Raising Kanan season, I think 4, we're gonna be waiting a while for that. So the one thing I wanted to talk about was as to why nobody really talked about like Rock, like in Power as much, because Kanan only talked about her briefly that one time that he went to go see his mom's, and nobody really talked about her even Power Book 2. I mean, it makes sense because she was part of the old times, but the one thing that it sort of like crossed my mind as, was she technically like the first Ghost? Because with everything that happened in the last season with like Special Agent Tanner looking at, you know, Marvin for like, you know, stuff that happened and certain things that was going on at the time, and he was just like, Rock was being investigated like a little bit, but it's more on Marvin now that they really looking at for everything that was, you know, what was going on. So it's like the one few things that sort of like had like a comparison with like Rock's character and Ghost's character is that Rock introduced Kanan to the business. She even taught him how to use a gun in the first season, comparing to with Ghost, where Ghost didn't tell Tariq nothing and he didn't teach him nothing, right? Which made Tariq turn, you know, the way that he did much more like, well, it wasn't quicker, but it was just the seeds was already building in, and then eventually he killed Ghost, right? And for Kanan, it's like it's the polar opposite, because Rock did teach him and he killed Ronnie and he was doing things on his own, and it just makes me think of, did Rock actually give Kanan and Breeze the business? Now hear me out, because remember when Dre in the original Power, where he, I guess, brought Kanan to, I think, either the Chinese restaurant or the restaurant that they was at, and it was all eating, and he's like, oh, this is Kanan, and he was like, yeah, this is an old head back in the days who used to run the streets. Why is it that, you know, Dre only knew about Kanan, but nobody else knew about Rock? So, and it had me thinking. I was like, if it's possible, wouldn't if, because remember, Rock always wanted to sort of retire at some point. She never really wanted to stay in the game for too long. Her plan and the vision was to give it over to Lulu, where Lulu is in control and she just sit back and collect the checks. But what if it's more, she gives it over to Kanan and Breeze, and they was the ones to take over everything, and they became bigger names than Rock. Like he took the whole brunt of it all. Like he was running the whole operations, and everybody just simply forgot about Rock as if she was a ghost, right? Because the whole premise of, I guess, Ghost never really died, because it had me thinking also what Tariq said, I think back in season 1, I think in Power Book 2 Ghost, about the whole Ghost never died, because Tariq became a ghosting machine, a baby ghost. And then you had James St. Patrick, who became a ghost, but that title was given to him by Breeze. And then you got Rock, where I think she was more of a forgotten ghost, of meaning that she used to be in control of the streets. She used to run certain things, and because she had a whole group, she had people that was working for her, paying off the cops, and having a cop in Howard basically give her information and making sure that she was good. So she had sort of everything, like a little bit of both in a sense, because Tariq eventually got all of that at the end. Rock sort of had it in the beginning, technically, with having Howard on the force, and Howard was giving her information to keep her safe, because again, Howard and Rock had business with each other. They have a lot of history with each other. And then also another thing that what Rock actually did that Ghost didn't really do is that Rock killed Howard because Howard already had like a lot of heat on him, and also he was technically the only person that could have probably convinced Kanan not to do the things that he was already doing. Because remember in season, I think it was 2, when they had like this bond, and that's when, you know, at the time Kanan was afraid because he thought that Howard was going to give him up, but he was like, no, I'm not going to give you up. You my son. Like, I'm not, despite everything that happened, because he understand that Rock was manipulating him. So he was like, I'm not going to turn you in. I'm not going to do anything to you. So, and it made Kanan see Howard like a little bit more like, okay, he's not trying to turn me in, and we seen they was getting a little bit close. But at season 3, you know, Kanan was already starting to like move in the way that he was moving, and that sort of relationship didn't really like flourish as much. It was just like it was there, but it wasn't really as it was in season 2. But Rock got rid of him anyway, because it was like he already had too much heat on him. He lost his badge, and she didn't want any of that negativity to follow her or Kanan, so she got rid of him. So the thing is with Ghost, when Ghost was inside like Tasha's apartment at the time, and he was choking her up a little bit, you would have thought that if he would have killed Tasha right there, then he would have had to subdue Tariq later on, because Tariq probably would have figured it out that you killed Tasha. So it's like the little comparisons between what they did is very interesting. And another comparison too was with Angela and Ghost and Rock and Symphony, because at the time Angela didn't really know until she was told, and then she figured it out as well, like, oh, you're him. But Ghost never killed Angela. It was just, and I think he never would have killed Angela. It was just that opportunity was taken out of his hand. Well, not opportunity, but it was that happened because, you know, Tommy took her out. But and Rock, she didn't take out Symphony. She could have, but she didn't, despite Symphony knowing everything, and she let Symphony go. So the comparisons between like Rock and Ghost is a little bit there, and we can see it just like a little bit. I wouldn't say like it's fully there, but it's a little bit there, because even in, I think season, what was it, 2? I think it's season 2, where when she was with Cartier Farid, and he was telling her and even teaching her, I guess, how he cleans his money, and I guess like the whole paintings and the businesses that he was interested in doing. It was like, okay, so she learned another trick on how to clean her money better, right? And Ghost was cleaning his money through the nightclub and other businesses, well, other stuff that he was doing at the time to clean his business, clean his money. But it's like the comparisons, like I said, is there, and we can see it fully of what's been going on between, like, you know, Ghost and Rock and everybody else essentially. But it just makes me think as to why she became like a ghost at the end and nobody really talked about her. She was almost as if like of DEFCON was mentioned plenty in Raising Kanan, as he should be, as a guy who originally was the one that had the streets, but then, you know, eventually he dies or goes away or whatever, and that's when it's Rock that takes over. Well, it's really Rock and Unique that takes over the business, and other people at the time that also had parts of controlling the streets, but they was the ones who has essentially taken over, right? And then Henry and Snaps, they was involved in the street game for like a little, well, no, they was bank robbers, I believe. I think it was bank robbers or something, but they also had parts of ties to the streets, but they also retired and they did their own thing at the, you know, they just retired and did their own thing. But again, it's just I want to know more, and I can't wait until we get more, because Winter can't even get here any sooner, because I believe they also was announced for like a 5th season. So shit, we probably gonna be getting old Powers numbers. It might end as maybe season 6, who knows, maybe season 7, who knows, right? Who knows? Because we are gonna get like some story in Raising Kanan, and then we're gonna probably get the rest of it in Power Origins with, like, you know, Ghost and Tommy. But it just, we have to like see how things is gonna flourish in the story. But it just made me think as to why she became a ghost, and was she technically the first ghost, right, of it all, to be like, well, she becomes forgotten, nobody really talks about her anymore. And it makes me think that did she essentially pass over the business to Kanan, because Kanan seems like he's not gonna try to kill his mother, despite everything that they've gone through, and despite her lies and her manipulations. He still saved her at the end. He didn't want Ronnie to take her out. She again, that was his mom, still is his mom's at the end of the day. And you know how moms and sons have sometimes that strong connection, and it just seems like he wasn't gonna do it, despite with Tariq and Kanan, because Tariq and Kanan, you could say there is similarities, but not really though, because Rock did teach Kanan and brought him into the business. Ghost didn't teach Tariq nothing. Kanan had to teach Tariq about the business and the drug game, and Tariq just wanted Ghost to teach him these things, so that way Ghost could pass the torch over to him. But he was like, I'm not going to pass over anything to you. this game is basically brutal and it's ruthless, and there's only two ways you're gonna end up, either dead or in prisons. And he was like, that was a future he didn't want Tariq to have, but we all saw how that actually turned out for Tariq at the end, and what actually happened to Ghost at the end. So it's like, it's good. It's really good, and it does keep us wondering like what's gonna probably happen to Rock at the end, because I've always said that if something was to happen to Monet, what if something happens to, would it be the same thing for Rock? But Monet died, so it does make us wonder, maybe Rock does survive, maybe she does live at the end, maybe she does pass over the business to Kanan and Breeze, they take over the streets, and everything that she did, everything just goes to them, and that's it. But we know Rock is stubborn and she wants to still stay in the game. But again, there was a time she didn't want to. She wanted to be in it for like a little bit and then pass it over to Lulu. And it makes us, well, we all probably gonna know something's gonna happen to Lulu, because again, the Thomas family, that seemed like they was probably wiped out, right? There's no mention of, Marvin, Lulu, none of them. So it's just like something is gonna probably happen, which I think is going to go to, well, it will go to Kanan and Breeze, and they're going to be the ones to take over. But yeah, it's going to be quite interesting. But let me know in the comment section down below, like, what you guys think of the idea of technically Rock being like the first ghost of, she was talked about, maybe was a legend, but then became a ghost and over time, because nobody talked about her anymore, because everything was passed over to Kanan and Breeze, and they was more known and feared in the streets, and Rock just became a simple ghost. But like, comment, subscribe, and share, and I catch you all in the next one.